Hey everybody, if you did watch the last stream, I did say I was going to upload the video. Like right there, I was, just streaming. So, here's the freaking video. And I'll say this right now, I called this My Hero 1 Justice 3 because I predicted this game all the way back in October of last year. And I only modified it yesterday just to fix up a couple things. Remember, I'm the one who predicted this game. So let's get over with. I've seen so many people complain or just talk about what's the roster gonna look like. I have a full roster here. I can show y'all. A bit of the roster might be a little bad with the DLC. But here's the roster. Starting off, normal Deku. So right here, plus ultras. You're gonna see all those. And now we got skins. Skins are just special variants. In the second game we had skins. Deku's the only character to really get like a big changing skin, so let's give everybody something. Everything right here, character, fighting style. So this version of Deku, of course, uses fighting. He just does air blasts and he punches. And also, I am using all hero names. So we have Deku shoot style, primarily for kicking. This is just the primarily kicking Deku. And then we have Vigilante Deku. So Vigilante Deku is a fully different. He uses all the powers. And we have seen Vigilante Deku in the trailer using most of the powers. So as you can see there, the plus ultras. But there's no GIF here, of course. The new movie came out. I literally made this right after the movie came out. Most of this was right after the movie came out. You're Next, which was a really good movie. You can watch it on Netflix now. Really good movie. It would just be, the final punch from that movie. And then we have full cowling. It sounds stupid to add full cowling, 4 Dekus, but I think full cowling would just be a little bit fun to put in this game, especially with maybe Aerie on his back, which she should have been on his back, but something like that. Full cowling would be good. And next up, of course, Bakugo, Great Explosion, Murder God, Dynamite. Add him in the game. It'd be mad fun. Of course, he is using the new suit with the little turrets on his back that we've seen. Of course, you gotta add him in the game. Like, come on, it'd be amazing. And then we have Shoto, of course, returning. So I'm not gonna go into too much in depth on the returning characters. We're just gonna skip over them a bit. Of course, Gravity is returning, followed by Ingenium, Charge Bolt, Froppy, Creati, and now we get to one of the newer characters, Tentacle. Tentacle, he uses his extended arms. And come on, it would be amazing to have this guy in game. It would be really cool. I mean, as you can see there, he would wrap his arms around for his first plus ultra and then just drag them. Second would be grasping the opponent and throwing them. And then his third just makes multiple arms, because he has 3 arms, but he can, manipulate his body to extend them, add some rate to, extend his ears, extend new eyes and new hands, just beat down the opponent. And then we have Pinky, who's returning. Red Riot is also returning. Tsukiyomi is returning. But then we have Cellophane. Now, they said every student was going to be in, so of course, Cellophane works. Come on, he uses tape. He could punch, but of course, primarily his abilities would be tape. He could drag himself over to the opponent and everything. It would just be a super cool character. And then we have, why does it say she's a villain? Shouldn't say that. Should say hero. But of course, Earphone Jack. Can't Stop Twinkling, of course, was DLC in the last game. But he's returning as a playable character on base roster, as well as Grape Juice. And then for new characters, we have Tailman. Who doesn't want him in the game? I certainly don't. I'm going to be honest. I don't really want this dude in the game. He would just be a little basic, but I feel like he could have some type of moveset. That would be pretty fun. And then we got Sugar Rush. I also don't want him in the game. But, of course, they're going to add all the students. I did add him on the list because he makes the most sense. And I think he would just be a pretty good, standard beatdown character. And then Invisible Girl. I don't get why, but everybody uses the real image of her. What she actually looks like. But realistically, she's not going to look like that in-game. If anything, if she does look like that, it'll just be, like her, slightly invisible. Of course, she's still going to have the hero outfit, which is just gloves and boots. You're going to be able to see her hair, you're going to be able to see her face, but I don't think we're going to be able to really see her body much. Of course, you know, they can't do that. And then we have Anima. Anima would, you know, be able to just send over birds, use his weird head and everything. Something like that. Now, I don't remember from Season 7 what he did, where he just called upon, like, a bunch. I couldn't find anything on that. But he, like, opened his head or something and did, like, a crazy move. I forgot what he did. But I don't think they would actually use that in-game. And now we're going to go to the other classes. So we got Spiral. You know, he could use his drill hands. I feel like Spiral could be a little bit, fun of a character. I feel like he would just add something new. And, of course, Phantom Thief. How could you not want Monoma? Plus Ultra would be his opponents, which is a little weird. But I think realistically doing this would just make the most sense for him. He could use a blade. We just went to Kendo, or Battle Fist, I guess. But yeah, I mean, Battle Fist, she was in the last game. You know, it makes the most sense for her to be in the game again. But then we have Shamage, whatever you want to call her. Definitely one of my favorite characters personally. I just love the design of the mushroom and the hair. She just looks so cool. How could I not add her? Of course, she uses mushrooms. She could, you know, spread her spores. She could attack naturally, but she could also, you know, shoot them out, make them summon under you. Something like that, I think would just be really fun. And then, yeah, Vine. I mean, she, I think, was revealed or something. I don't know. But Vine, I mean, she just makes, you know, the most sense for a character. She's standard, use the vines. She would be probably like a a long-range character. And maybe a little tanky. And then we have, dude, I don't know how to say his name. Javu Dan. Friggin' Bigfoot over here. I think he would be, he'd be another beatdown character, very similar to Sugar Rush. He'd just be a standard beatdown. Not much to really do with him, other than his supers being different. He'd just be, you know, standard beatdown. And then Real Steel is returning. And then Comic Man. This is one of the coolest characters. How do you not want Comic Man? Of course, he could, you know, use Automatopoeia. Should know what that is, by the way. Automatopoeia to make things appear and just happen, which is his whole ability, which is super cool. I think he'd just be a really cool character. If anything, make him DLC. Of course, you know, Shinso's returning, as well as Hatsune. And then, we're going to skip a couple characters, of course, because, you know, these are just returning characters. So we have All Might, Eraserhead, Present Mike, Midnight, and then Cementos. I don't understand why we still don't have Cementos in the game, even though he's in Rumble. I don't play that game anymore, because, you know, they still haven't added Mirko. But Cementos would be so freaking cool in this game. I think Cementos could just be a standard really tanky character with maybe even a freezing ability, where he wraps the characters in cement. He could also have some range to him. He'd be pretty cool. And then Vlad King, another tanky beatdown character, except he would also have some range. He'd also be able to stun with his blood. I think Vlad King, with maybe a sort of gimmick for his blood, could actually work really well. Gran Torino is returning. Lemillion is returning. Sun Eater's returning. Nejire, Fat Gum, Endeavor. And then we move to Burnin. Burnin is one of my personal favorites in My Hero. I think Burnin is super cool. Like, as soon as she was introduced in that first episode, dude, she probably has one of the coolest designs. I feel like she was made for this game right here. She's really, really cool. Also, if you see these manga, tracksuit, or like casual, those are like literally the only other things I could find for like half the characters. Anyways, Hawks is returning, and now we got Best Genius. If we don't have Best Genius in this game, then that's stupid, because Genius is in the newer seasons, as well as Burnin. Again, they should be in the game. As well as Edge Shot. Edge Shot, now, let's say this. Edge Shot doesn't really do much. Edge Shot also wasn't really featured much. Edge Shot really does nothing. But he's so strong. His character just looks awesome. If you don't want him, then you're wrong. And then Mirko. My favorite character in all of My Hero. I have a figure of her too. Mirko is the best character. I paused it for a sec. Look at this. Of course, she's my favorite character. How could you hate on Mirko? An amazing character. And of course I got a glaze with the second variant, Battle Damage. Give her the arm, give her the leg, Give her some amazing abilities. Get Mirko in this game. Get her as well in Rumble. If Mirko ever comes to Rumble, I will go back to Rumble. Like, seriously, amazing character, and we still don't have her in game, which is crazy. And as well as Kamui Woods. How do we not have Kamui Woods in this game? Like, okay, sure, short character, but he did make a comeback in this new season, so I wouldn't be surprised if we actually got Kamui in the game. Really cool character. He could, though, however, have something against, weaknesses. So if it was a grass type of attack, like Vine, or a water type of attack, which we'll get into soon, maybe he could be resistant, or, someone like Shoto and Bakugo could be very damaging to him because they have fire attacks. And then we got Mountain Lady. Mountain Lady is also in Rumble, so it's, not a surprise if she actually gets in to this game. I wouldn't be surprised. And like I said, for water attacks, Backdraft is such an underrated character. I feel like Backdraft is super cool, and he could be utilized more. I feel like if they actually use this character more, then, Backdraft could gain some popularity. He's a really nice character. He has a really cool ability, and his design is just really good. I feel like him in the game would just, make a lot of sense. As well as Ryuko, which it doesn't actually make sense to me why she's still not in this game. You could argue her dragon form is pretty big, but, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, look at Sparking Zero. If we look at Sparking Zero, we have giants in that game, so it doesn't really matter. As well as Gang Orca returning. And Crust. Now, Crust is the stupidest character ever introduced. He also died. As you can see right there, who's this? I remember watching that episode, and then, it was the same episode, or maybe a couple episodes later, that guy appeared after Crust died. Crust, I mean, I don't really care for his character at all, honestly. I don't. I think he's stupid. However, I think he'd be a very, very funny character. Add him as a joke character. And why don't we have Rocklock? Why was Rocklock never added in the last game? He was a pretty prominent character, it seemed, in Season 4, so put Rocklock in the game. And Sir Night-Eye would be returning, which I don't really care for Sir Night-Eye, but yeah. However, I do care for the new people who's running this company, Bubble Girl and Centipeder. Put them in the game. And, I mean, this one's a given, even though she literally died right after. Star and Stripe. I mean, it fully makes sense. I mean, come on. Also, I did say right here, if you can tell, I just noticed her plus ultra is the scene where New Order versus All For One / Shigaraki. That doesn't make sense at all. So basically what I'm saying is her soul fighting the scene where, her soul fights against Shigaraki, basically. When Shigaraki goes to kill her. That's basically what I'm trying to describe. And then Iron Might. Iron Might, if they don't add him, I mean, he's already confirmed. He is confirmed, as well as the new, oh yeah, Nana Shimura. Put her as base roster. It would make sense. But Iron Might is confirmed with the new version of All For One, which I did get the new All For One wrong. Oh yeah, and of course add these three: Gale Force, Scizor, and Illuso-Kami. It just makes sense. Now we're gonna go to the villains with Tomoru Shigaraki. Add OG Shigaraki. Normal Shigaraki. I want normal Shigaraki in the game first. Then we can get All For One's gift, which we were already revealed. All For One's gift Shigaraki is gonna be a playable character, which is gonna be the big one. So we're probably gonna get 2 Shigarakis. This version, standard, and then the big one. And then Kurogiri, it would make sense just to put him as base roster, even though he is locked up right now. Put Kurogiri in the game. And then Dobby. Dobby's most likely going to have the white variant, which is the Toya version. Most likely he's going to have that. But I feel like, this was in October. I hadn't even fully finished the series yet, so. And Himiko Toga. This is, another given. As well as, twice, given the Bubaiga variant. And then Spinner. Spinner is probably one of the most prominent and important characters in the later seasons. I think he died, if I remember, but Spinner was mad important. He was one of the main villains fighting off, Anima and Tentacle. And, of course, Compress is coming back. Give us Magne. I'm a little biased because I thought Magne was cool. But I don't understand why she's not in the game. It's a little weird to me. Oh, yeah, and Giganomakia. But it's a little weird to me that Magne never got in the first game or the second game. That's a little weird to me. Of course, Giganomakia. Again, I already said it with the, I don't know why he says hero under his name. But again, I already said it. We already have Sparking Zero, and Sparking Zero has giant characters in, like, the same type of playing field. So just give us Giganomakia. Moonfish is one of my favorite villains. Moonfish is amazing. I don't get why we do not have Moonfish. I want him in the game. As well as Mustard. Mustard would be a really sick character. I think he'd be really cool. And Muscular would be returning. Nomu. And I did specify USJ Nomu, because there are 2 Nomus in this game with Hood. Hood is also a Nomu, and his official name is Hood, if you didn't know that. This Nomu is called Hood. He'd be new. And he'd be a flying Nomu, of course. And Stain would be returning, and then All For One would be returning. I did say new body would be a skin, but I do think that the original would be a skin now, and the new one would of course be a new variant. And then Overhaul would be returning. Overhaul Power Output would be returning, and Kendo Rappa, as well as, Gentle Criminal and La Brava. I could put these guys as anti-heroes, because Gentle Criminal and La Brava are now, like, kind of anti-hero characters. So yeah. And then down here where it says drops the coffin on the opponent. When I say the coffin, I'm talking about the entire, like, floating island. And then new characters for villains. Redestroy, whatever his name was. Freaking Dr. Heinz Doofenshmirtz. Of course he's going to be in the game, because he was one of the most important characters for, I think it was Season 6, maybe Season 5. Either way, he was one of the most important characters, and he's also really strong. His quirk, I think it was, had a quirk, I forgot. Or he called it something else. Either way, his ability is so good. And as well as Getten. If we don't have Getten in this game, that'd be crazy. He's probably the best ice user in the entirety of My Hero. He's definitely better than Todoroki. I think Getten is just, he's really cool with the way he actually fights. His ability is sick the way he uses it. As well as when his quirk awakened, he was perfect. And then Lady Nagant is also one of my favorite skins. Not skins, sorry. I read the thing at the bottom. Lady Nagant is definitely one of my favorite characters. When they introduced her, I thought she was really cool. And if I remember, I think she has, like, 2 quirks now. The gun, and then the, like, her airwalk, which I think was gifted to her by All For One. I think Nagant is super cool. And then we get into, DLC. So, I don't know why Knuckle Duster is up here in base roster. He's supposed to be DLC, by the way. So let's go to DLC. Starting with Vigilantes, Knuckle Duster. Knuckle Duster, I personally have not read the full entirety of Vigilantes or watched the show yet. So I'm just going to say what they would be. Knuckle Duster is, of course, just a standard beatdown. With the DLC, the Crawler would be a fast character. Very fast. Again, I haven't watched the show, and I'm only on, like, the 2nd issue? And then Pop Step. It's Pop Step. I still don't know what she does. But then we go to movie characters with Wolf Arm. Wolf Arm is, a metal bender. He has the power of magnetism. It's pretty cool. I think he'd be a really nice character in addition. As well as Nine. Nine had 9 quirks, dude. Now imagine what you could do with this character in this game. Nine would be a super sick character. There would be so many abilities he could have. It's amazing. And then Fleckturn. Fleckturn was also really cool. Fleckturn was awesome. How many My Hero movies are there? I just realized this. How many are there? Yes, I was right. There's 4 movies. Because, there was this one, which was the weird one. I don't remember what that one's called. This was the other weird one, and then this is the other weird one. And then, the best movie that they have, Dark Might. Come on. If we're not putting Dark Might in the game as a beatdown character with one of the coolest quirks, by the way. Probably the coolest quirk, Alchemy. You just make anything. It is so sick, dude. And I'm about to glaze this movie a bit. But Hugo and Giles Goroni, dude, they would be really cool in this game. I think just the way they are, super unique. Super unique. And so they could just have an amazing playstyle. And Guillermo, which I think is how you say his name. I don't think he has a quirk, if I remember. But his arm is so cool. There is so much they can do with him. And that's the whole DLC, you know. That's everybody. That's everybody in this game. What do y'all think? I think, from what I've seen, from most people's rosters, I have the best roster. Personally, I think I have one of the... we're going to stay on Mirko. I think I have one of the best rosters, personally. I think it's really cool. So, what do you think? Who do you think should be in the game? Who do you think shouldn't be in the game from my roster? Say it in the comments. And have a good day, everybody. Bye.